Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 1 matchup between the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 1. You got Cincinnati coming off of their outstanding 2021 season. This team is the first Group of 5 team to ever make the college football playoff, and that's quite an achievement for the Bearcats. They were outstanding last season, to say the least. And they start off the 2022 season with a tough road matchup against an Arkansas team that is looking to be, once again, a dark horse contender in the SEC. Arkansas, you could consider to be one of the surprise teams of the 2021 season, as they got up to 9 wins. And overall, they were a surprise team. They caused some noise in the SEC last season. So definitely a very interesting and a very crucial matchup as we head into Week 1. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Games will be on Saturday, September 3rd in Fayetteville, so Razorbacks are the home team for this matchup. Kickoff is 2:30 p.m. Central. Spread's going Arkansas here by 6. So the Razorbacks are favorite in this matchup, not by a lot. Your over-under is 51.5. Your FPI is going Arkansas 59.6%. So Razorbacks are slightly favored in this matchup, which isn't terribly surprising. I would say Arkansas has got the higher ceiling between these two teams as we head into 2022. I mean, both teams were great teams last season. There's no doubt with that. Cincinnati obviously made the college football playoff. You could consider the Bearcats to be the better team. But the thing is one of these teams here is returning a lot of their key talent from last season. One of these teams isn't. And Cincinnati's the team that isn't. They lose, of course, Desmond Ridder, Jerome Ford, two of their major key players offensively. Even the defense doesn't return several key players. So it looks like Cincinnati is going into a bit of a rebuild season here in 2022, which, I mean, that was expected. We knew that in 2021 because, I mean, this is a Cincinnati team that returned. I mean, they were a good team in 2020, and they were returning so much of their key talent from the 2020 season, so it was easy to predict that Cincinnati was going to be at least a contender and make the college football playoff in 2021, as they were. But they lost a lot of that experience, a lot of that talent, so Cincinnati is a team that I would say is looking to be in a bit of a rebuild season. I don't see this team being in the college football playoff in 2022. Basically, they're still in the running to win the conference, maybe get to a New Year's Six game or a New Year's Six bowl at the end of the season. But in the end, Cincinnati won't be quite as good in 2022, I don't think. Arkansas, though, this is an Arkansas team that is returning a lot of their key talent. KJ Jefferson's coming back. A lot of key players on their offense. And even on defense, I mean, this Arkansas team they're losing a couple, but, I mean, they certainly have got more talent coming back versus Cincinnati. So Arkansas does have, you could say, the higher ceiling between these two teams. Razorbacks ranked 19th heading into this matchup. Cincinnati at number 23. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. These are 2021 stats by rank. So obviously these are going to be different as we head into 2022, but this is how we can see how both teams fared out and their strengths on the team last season. Cincinnati offensively was a very good team, 11th in the nation in points per game, 8th in points allowed. They were 59th in pass yards a game, 50th in rush yards. And for yards allowed, their pass defense, 2nd in the nation there, and they're 59th in rush defense. As for Arkansas, 47th in points per game, 43rd in points allowed. So overall, a pretty solid team on both sides. 81st in pass yards a game, 9th in rush yards, so one of the best rushing teams in the country. And then for yards allowed, 55th in passing, 63rd in rushing. So both teams obviously excellent in both of their ways last season. Some key points for this one: Cincinnati 13-1, the first Group of 5 team to make the college football playoff, which, I mean, let me tell you, as long as we have a 4-team college football playoff, it's going to be a rarity to see a Group of 5 team make it. So to see Cincinnati make it just proves that, I mean, Group of 5 teams can make it, even though, I mean, it takes a lot of upsets and it takes a lot of factors for that to happen. But for Cincinnati, they made it happen. They lost a lot of talent that they had during 2021 as we head into 2022. Mentioned that before. So it looks like a rebuild season ahead for Cincinnati, but this team still could be a contender. I could still see this team getting up to 10 wins and beating some good teams, maybe getting to a New Year's Six game. But once again, the chances of them getting to the college football playoff again, at least for this year, are extremely low if you ask me. But this will still be a good team. Arkansas 9-4, a semi-surprise team of the 2021 season. They had a pretty good year at 9 wins. KJ Jefferson returning. Team has got potential for sure going into 2022 here. Could this team be even better in 2022? Are the Razorbacks a team that maybe could make a run for the West Division? I mean, the West Division with Texas A&M and Alabama, I don't see Arkansas cracking that top 2, but the Razorbacks are the only team that could cause some noise, maybe cause an upset or two. A couple of big upsets is definitely within reason, so I think that's what Arkansas should shoot for going into next season. And I mean, 9-10 wins is definitely within reason. Personally, I've got Arkansas with, I think, 8 wins. I think that's what I predicted for the Razorbacks. So I'm still expecting the Razorbacks to be a good team, and considering this team even a few years ago was a bottom of the barrel team in the SEC, I'd say Arkansas is in a pretty good place as we head into 2022. That said, let's look at your prediction now for this matchup between Cincinnati and Arkansas. One of your big matchups coming up here in week 1. Definitely a very intriguing one. I'm going to go Razorbacks here. 28-20 is my predicted final score. I just think Arkansas being at home in this matchup also gives them a pretty nice advantage there. I mean, Cincinnati being a team that obviously is a lot different heading into 2022. They got a lot of, they've got a lack of depth in some positions and a lack of experience as well. So going on the road in week 1 to, I can imagine, a pretty rowdy Arkansas fan base going into Razorback territory. It's going to be tough, I think, for Cincinnati, especially in week 1. I think they put up a fight. They keep it close for a little while. But Arkansas in the end wins it by, I'd say, 7 to 10 points here. So I'm taking Razorbacks 55%. So I'm still being a little bit cautious here, picking Arkansas. I think Cincinnati's got a chance, but I do think Razorbacks being at home. I mean, unless Razorbacks are a huge disappointment this season, they fall off a bit after their great 2021 season. That could happen, but I think Arkansas in the end lives up to what they're expected, and I think they get the win here, 28-20. Over-under is 51.5. I will take the under for this matchup, even though this is a game that I'm not very confident taking the under in. I could definitely see it going over, but I will be taking the under for this one and Arkansas to cover the 6-point spread. I'm somewhat comfortable picking the spread here for Arkansas. I think them winning by a touchdown to 10 points is pretty likely. I think this is kind of one of those games where Cincinnati hangs around for a long time, but in the end, Arkansas kind of pulls away, maybe gets a nice late touchdown, and they seal the deal there. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.